Well, my long day at the airport, 28th day, June 2025. We're in the top's kind of up because I'm having some of this. It's really nice to feel good 1 week later when it all kind of kicked in and it was like, oh, I thought I was going to die. Take a picture, I know. And the bell's on. It's time for an audio version. Over here on Spreaker. It goes to MB4 on the No to YouTube. The black screen is back. I will be live tomorrow. I figure I can get a topic. Let's do an audio on this behavior, but the traffic here in the great state of Minnesota. Oh my God, they got 35W closed. I was somewhat Minneapolis, but I had to come back down the airport this afternoon. Oh my God. Oh God. Oh my word. Oh, so I got to take the long way back today. So I figured, what the hell? Little AC on it. You know, it worked. I didn't pop this AC on and since I bought this thing 3 years ago for $5,000. It's got 79,000 miles, 622. But shout out to everybody out there. Appreciate the comments this morning on the video of giving them the 2-week ultimatum, which is never going to happen. And what's funny is up on the hill, departures, and you drop off and you leave. You give your hugs, you grab the ass, you have some quick, panty sex. You put your hands on her pants, he put on his pants, whatever. And I see a limo driver getting a ticket. And I know him from the other company, and I'm like, looked at the guy, and I'm like, he who has a gold sets the price. You know better. I don't know if he went inside to lick their undercarriage, bring the luggage in for more money. It's like, you idiot. Any airports like that, you just can't leave your car and go, excuse me, I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to bring my pants. It's no. They used to have a tow truck down below the hill, and they just whip them up there and whip you out. People would come out screaming and hollering. It's like some blonde walk out. It's like, too damn bad, woman. You're not supposed to. But anyways, but you just don't get it, Common sense, stupid people shouldn't breed. Someone was bitching about something today at work, and I looked at her and I go, listen, build a bridge and get over it. She became enraged. And again, which I'm so damn proud of, you're just a heartless little bastard. I said, you're goddamn right I am, and I'm proud of it. If I don't get called a heartless bastard at least once a week, I kind of feel I'm not doing my mother a justice, because I'm never afraid to say no to somebody, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, it is a wonderful and a beautiful day to be alive here in the great state of Minnesota, wherever it may be. So, what's the topic today? Being authentic. Okay? I heard Santa Claus do a ride in his car today, and he was kind of complaining that he didn't have notes. Okay? I'm in my car. I'm driving. I'm talking to you. I'm going memories. George Thorogood, I collect every championship hat since the 70s, every championship, NASCAR, whatever, and I get one for Pumpkin Ball, anything, running ponytails. George said something, and I agree with him. My dad was saying George Thorogood collects memories. George Thorogood is probably the best person to listen to in interviews. He's very, very good at recalling things. And my wife will always get pissed when I can recall stuff, but not the small stuff that I don't give two F's about, right? Two pumps about. My uncle can call me up and ask me on an old code of an old car wash somewhere we put in Texas, and I go, yeah, I got that number. I know what that is. I can reset my license, my Social Security. I retain things. We're going to have a family, a neighborhood get-together tomorrow. When I get home, and it's the neighborhood is, I know everyone in that neighborhood, and a couple will walk over to me, and they will bring out memories. They'll ask about my mom, or this or that, and my wife will, how do you remember that? I go, I just know. Something she did. I've been to her some of a charity thing. I'll stand up and what the charity meant to my mother, and I'll relay a story of how whatever, and and people will laugh, and then people up me. I've spoke at many funerals, and I've spoke at my mother-in-law's, and people to this day will always appreciate what I said, and I did it without notes. My nephew got up there. I know she was the first grandchild. He was the first grandchild, just like the hunch. The hunch, Donald J. can't read just off the cuff like Obama and Reagan could. The great communicator, pretty much. Look in the camera and get the job done. Because Carl, Santa Claus, was bitching he can't do a video. Same thing with Old Man Nation. You're not authentic enough if you can't preach from the heart, okay? And I'll stand up there, and he started to cry. He couldn't know where he was in the notes, and lost his place. Then became unruly and left the stage. Right. I got up there and I spoke for 20 minutes about my mother-in-law, of memories of her, which I knew of this woman. My mother, I spoke for 45 minutes about my mother at her memorial service for a couple of charities, of memories of going with her to. They would come to the house and they would arrest you, and they'd say, "Are you for this charity?" And then we'd have to go to a jail, and they'd throw our bail. And what she would say to the officer: "How dare you arrest this older lady? I'll have your badge." Whatever. I recalled those memories of people in the room. My father passed away. I spoke to him of things I did when I was a child with him, and I'm going of the authentic of memories of my father, and I can still talk to my brother, the bitch, when he'll be, or my sister, and she'll, "I remember that." I go, "Because I do. That's just my dad was like that. He would remember something that a little fight with my mom. They would bitch about something at home or something. I remember when your mother did this or your mother did that, and da da da." He'd give me the date. It wasn't vengeful. He just had that memory bank that he taught me of how to read blueprints. Well, his brother did, and my mother taught me that of you got to rely on yourself instead of computers all the time. And I just, to the people that, have to sit there, and the only way you can be authentic on YouTube, my walk and talks, I have what I wanted to say on the way home today when I was coming down Cedar Lake Road, just backed up to beat the band, what I wanted to say today. And you get it in your head. But I think when you use notes, I think you are not very authentic. Because if you want to be, I guess, a hate watcher, a hate listener to this almighty of the all hail Satan, Sarasota Satan, and you've watched him enough, you should be able to retain that menu of what's in your head, of what he's talked about, what you want to do. Jesus Christ, there's traffic everywhere here. I mean, holy balls. Size of basketballs. But anyways, I just, when I do my podcast from the house, Fear-mongering radio, I'm sitting there talking about whatever. I'm not sitting there reading off something. When my NFL podcast, I'll read an article, and then I'll read what it means to me about the football game, the football team. Man, when the construction is working, when they're burning working on Saturdays, making $80 an hour, they want to get this done. I'm like, holy balls. But I just think if you're going to talk about somebody like that, you got to have that memory bank in your head. Go ahead. I got the red. You got the green. There you go. You're welcome. But no, I just think. I mean, I've spoke at many funerals of people. I had a friend of mine who worked at the airport, and I had called him up before he died. I said, "I want to come see you," and he goes, "No, there's no time for that." But he asked me. He goes, "Do you remember what I asked you about a couple years ago? When I do stop breathing, I want you to speak about my time at the airport." He died 6 days later. his sister called me on the cell phone and said, I see this in his testament. He would like you to speak at the funeral. It was a get together at a restaurant in St. Paul, and I went up and I spoke of his impact on my life and how he was my mentor at the airport, how to make good money, how to sell yourself. And I miss him to this day. He was a great guy. He was always been my guy. If I was to buy a shuttle, he would have been my Mr. St. Paul. He was a very smart, knew St. Paul like I know Hopkins. Just a great guy. And I had a few people laughing, a few people crying. I did like a 15-minute of just a montage of when I met him and things that he had said, things he had done, because we'd work together, and we would both be listening to 89.3 on the weekends. On Sundays, they would have, not blues. I can't remember the hell that version of what they would. It was bluegrass, and we would just get in the radio. And you got that, cowboy? And I meant yes. Meaning, are you listening? So he was into music, so we had that connection, into making money, into Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I conveyed that to people in that conversation without any notes. I got up there and made that conversation, and I was authentic to people I didn't even know, and I'd be walked over when they were having stuff, eating some food and talking. He goes, "That was a very good speech." And I said, well, "Thank you very much." And he goes, "How long did you know him?" And I said, "Well, about 10 years." And he goes, "Well, it seems like it was longer than that." I said, "Well, I knew him very well." I said, "Worked the guy." And I said, we worked through the snowstorms, rainstorms, everything else. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to rip on Carl or Old Man Nation. I just think you lose when you have to sit there and you have notes. You're not authentic. In my mind, you're not being authentic enough with your fans. You're going to talk about Tim. I can talk about Cartbagger a little bit. I've seen some of his videos. He's back over at Pinchford at the Dolly Parton World, I think it is. I don't really need to. I can kind of mention what I know they've been engaged for years. Blah blah blah. I'm not like Passing Through Productions, who watches every single Daily Woo video and then breaks it down and edits it into a video, which to me is a little obsessive. Passing Through Productions. I get it. I talk about people. That's what I do. But I also work for a living and attempt to do adventures. Okay, I did the car videos. I think I've got 6 more coming on this video platform. I do my audios, but I just think when you have to look at notes, when you're a hate watcher, you're a hate listener to Sarasota Timmy. Morning. She's pretty good in the car when she does it, while she's stalking a parking spot. God love her. But, I don't know. I just think, the phenomenon, I mean, Casey Gritz has talked about on the podcast. It's just, they're more entertaining than Tim, because they're so into what they're watching. And I get it that they want to get on that wagon and watch his young ass and then think they're truth tellers, where he lies on purpose to piss people off. And the few that listen to the guy, I don't get it. I've always said I don't like sauerkraut. You're not going to see me doing a mukbang eating Rachel's and Reuben's, and then look at you in the camera and go, eat the whole thing, and go, God, that was the worst thing I ever had. Every Sunday I make a Reuben. I mean, I'm going to probably do the cooking video on 4th of July morning. I have it off. I'll do another little cooking video. If we roll some omelets like I always do, a repeat, but they're fun to do. I know that can be a repeat, but they're fun to roll the omelet and do that behavior. But it'd be like me making those omelets and having the recipe in front of me. Okay, I got to crack 3 eggs. I got to put some ham in there. I got to put some hollandaise sauce in there, some cheese, and some sauerkraut. I was the same thing at Perkins. I didn't like to prep, but I knew how to prep. I could help. I did a lot of hired guns where I could go to a Perkins and then And I just knew how to make buttermilk. I knew how to make all hollandaise sauce. I just did because I knew I committed it to memory. I got a lot of recipes of my mother that, that recipes are in my head, and I've rubbed them down for a few times. I had homemade hot chocolate, homemade chicken chow mein, whatever. That's just the things that you maintain in your head. And I just think if you're going to watch Tim, you're going to piss and moan about Tim, eh? We all know blind views. That's the way he hears it. Rode hard, put away wet. Wanna be Howard Stern, a.k.a. Ace Frehley. Rode hard, put away wet. He looks like a prune. He really does. He looks like a dried prune. He's gonna. I think I listened to what was that one I listened to when he did about Tater, of course. He was so excited that once he came back, he mentioned Dinger. That something with about so he's gonna haul pass his not AKA watching off on Dinger. He won't say Carl. So he's gonna claim he knows it, but the only way you can watch and talk about Tim is you got to watch him. Like I said, 2 videos of this man. I don't need to watch. The last one I watched was the bike one because there's a big thing and I had to go see because I'm an idiot sometimes of putting bikes together. So I was like, I get that, but I don't know. I get you want to drive and you want to smoke a cigar and drink a beer, and I get that, and I like doing that too. But to me, it's more authentic when you're doing that. But you look in the camera, you make your point, you get it done. If you forget something, oh well, maintain it in your memory. But it's to me, just like Donald J. Trump, the hunch, notes are a sign of weakness. Just like on Saturday Night Live, right? They write these bits themselves, but they have to look at cue cards. It looks stupid when they're doing the bit and they're looking at the cue cards. It's a bad bit. A good actor comes on and knows pretty much what they're doing. I just think it just makes you look weak. That you have to have notes in front of you to bitch about someone that you truly love to hate. It's kind of it's just like when you write your vows, you shouldn't have to. You write them, you maintain them, and then you talk. You look into your bride or groom's eyes and tell them exactly what you think, and you do your vows right to them. I said what to her right there on the stage. She did the same thing to me. There was no notes. I wrote it myself. I didn't need to, just like a good pastor can write a sermon and get up there and just say it. He wrote it. He talks about it. He does it on the camera. It's from his heart, and then he says it. That's the way I look at it. You have to have some self-control when you want to be able to do that kind of behavior. A good actor comes every time with he or she. They come to the set and they have their stuff ready to roll. So when action happens, there's not redoing it 3, 4, 5 times because you forgot your goddamn line. Because there was some country music guy had to stop a concert because he forgot the lyrics of a song. The son of a bitch wrote himself. It's like George Thorogood forgetting "Bad the Boner." Who do you love? Or Paul Stanley forgetting rock and roll. I don't know, whatever. It's just, it just blows me away. I don't know. Sometimes I hate to rip on, but something I just kind of wanted to kill some time on the way home. But about this behavior. So, anyways, I think I've babbled on long enough. We're going to pull off the side here. Kind of quit raining, put the top down, and run through this light illegally. Perfect. But anyways, you guys, have a good rest of the weekend. Hope all's well out there. But be authentic. Don't be lazy. Okay? You got to talk about something, all right? Let's pull into this abandoned building here. I just tear this building down, the whole thing, and put apartments in this thing. I don't know why it doesn't do it. So anyway, put the top down. Get some gas, too, on the way home. So I got to get in the morning. 3:45 comes off. This morning, 3:20. 3:20 this morning. I was doing work. Anyways, guys, I'll see y'all later from the outskirts, okay? Behave yourselves. All right? So, peace the Middle East and keep it real in the field.